go a little bit away from politics and the crises and the problems we have here in Egypt. We're going to talk about athletes and the performance of athletes, the positives, the negatives of how to make a good athlete, and of course encourage the champions that we have here in Egypt, and how we could do that through psychology and mental performance and experience. And we're pleased to be joined this morning by Dr. Fouad, who is international expert and consultant in human and sports performance, technology, and behavioral communication. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us. Doctor, first of all, let's talk a little bit about what is cognitive science.
Cognitive science.
Yes.
The cognitive science is the science of senses. For a long time, we have been really concentrating on things outside the sense. And you perceive the world through senses, the 5 senses. Now they are no longer 5, they are 8 now. We discover other senses to be added.
Which are?
Like what?
Sense of balance, like if somebody learned to ride a bike, or the pilots mainly, they get this sense of balance. To feel the butterfly, the nose up, the tail, the banking, so he has to feel. That's a sense. Usually when a child learns to ride a bike, he falls until he gets that sense of balance, so he can ride the bicycle. So this is added. There is another sense called directional sense, which you go to a crowded place and you enter from a door and you walk inside the place, maybe a mall or something, and then you come out from the same door. So this is a sense of direction. Some people will get lost. They won't be able to come back from the same door. Some others will do, which those people have the sense of direction. He knows where he is at the moment and where he can go out of that.
But usually these things are taught. I mean, you can teach someone to have balance. You can teach someone to have a good sense of direction. But the other 5 senses that we all have, they're natural. I mean, you're born with it.
It's inborn.
Right.
The other could be learned, which is environmental, inducted.
I mean, I think we all have that. I mean, we all have the sense, as you said. We can all be taught that. How is that related to athletes?
No, I'm talking about that in a broader sense. In the science of cognitive speaks about this. So he speaks about teaching people through the senses. If I can make you touch and see and feel and you learn more, you learn better, you learn skillful, you apply, whatever it is. So this is needed in the athlete area. I mean, we have been really relying on the old methods of training and so on. Now the world has jumped from that plateau to another new thing, which is an edge now. If we don't cross that, we will be left behind, I think, or I hope.
And so if you can tell us more about your experience. You're an expert in sports performance. So what kind of techniques, what kind of rules and laws do you use in training the athletes on becoming the best?
You see, it's this area is called it's now a new kind of psychology called performance psychology, which really governs the performance and could be applied very easily to the sport psychology. So the sport performance psychology, or the mental training as they call it, it's now needed to go over and beyond the regular types of training that the athletes are facing. Talking about competitive edge in sports. Now everybody in the sports field is down there to win, and that creates a pressure. And if he lives under this pressure, then the performance will be affected. So now the old methods of training is no longer valid, is no longer valuable, is no longer productive. So the world now is looking for other things to boost that particular energy within the sports field to be able to get a maximum performance. And this is lies in the psychology.
Yeah, doctor, a lot of people, I'm sure, are unaware on how difficult and hard is it for the athletes to not only do a lot of practicing or have the talent in what they do or what they are specialized in sports, but also, as you said, to go through mental training and psychological training as well. So does that mean that in order for an athlete to be successful, he does not only have to depend on his talent and what he's good at, but he also have to go through a lot of stages to maintain his position and to be more confident of himself? You said it's not traditional anymore. Things have changed. How has it changed, and how has this change proven successful in athletes?
I'll tell you one problem, psychologically, physically, that has been discovered. I'll give this as an example, through the ancient Egyptian, and is not realized until recently. And I have a picture here of Pharaoh's king, which is Tutankhamun, if you have the close-up on that. This is only one problem why we should go into psychology.
And how does this relate to cognitive science?
That's what I'm going to explain. If you notice that the left foot of that statue is always forward.
Right.
And if you look to every statue in Egypt, if it's painted on the wall or posing like that, you will find that the left foot is forward. And this is usually why the uniform, like the police or the army, will start with the left foot, always. And the reason for that is to balance the activity that's on the right hand with the left hand side, so the two parts will be balanced. Otherwise, you will have a side stronger than the other, then this will be weaker and this will be stronger. This is one thing that has to be realized in the sports field with the athletes. Second, he has a stick. That stick keeps his backbone straight. And this is very important to train people, environmental wise, to sit and stand and walk with a straight back. And this needs quite a bit of practice, quite a bit of mental adjustment to be able to do this. If I tell you sit straight, you will sit straight for maybe 3 minutes. You did. And after 5 minutes, you will go back again to this. So you need an inner strength to be able to maintain that. Third, you have the head has something heavy to keep the head high all the time. In performing art and performing in sports, if you find an athlete or a person, a performer, who usually looks down on the ground, on the floor, on between whatever he's doing, not looking up, not lifting his head up, it will affect his energy great deal and leads within time to depression.
Wow.
For one simple reason. This talks about the chest. If you let your hand fall like that, your chest will be, your back will be arched or curved, and then the cavity here will not hold enough oxygen for circulation, for feeding the brain, and this will be, in the long run, a devastating on any performance that you're expecting out of a person. And if he wants to boost his energy, he will not be able to, because the system does not allow. So these things has to be innerly treated, because there are blocks here that's blocking these things. Or we don't use blocks, you use hinders, we use problems, inner problems.
Could this type of training be taught to people of older age, like in their teenagers, or do you have to start at a very young age, the very young athletes that start maybe in
let me tell you,
elementary
this
school?
does not have an area of expertise or an age group or age bracket. That could be done with children, as well as grown-up, as well as experienced people, as well as talented people. Everybody's in need.
What about the personality and the characteristics of a person? Does that affect on how well they can interpret and listen to the experience and stuff like that? Because some people could be stubborn, some people could be lazy, some people could lose interest so quickly.
This is also another problem. I met an athlete about 3 weeks ago in Dubai. He left the whole field because he got fed up and was nobody to bring him back. And the whole thing was mental. So in the old traditional training, people will use such approaches like higher voice, aggression, humiliation, whatever it is. With this approach, you have to reverse the whole card. You have to look for personality and build up the personality inside out. This will affect the performance. Lots of people wouldn't. Let's talk about sports as a spirit. How could you develop the sports performer spirit? Character, behavior, personality. That's all what it is. It is all a psychological question mark. To be able to train people in that particular area, to bring them out of their frame, to boost their energy into something higher, to keep him going in one direction. Let me talk about winning edge. In sports psychology, we learned not to deal with the winning. We deal with the losing. Because you always look for winning, and the more you look for winning, if you start losing, you destroy yourself. So you have to learn how to lose to be able to win. So the psychology will concentrate on that particular aspect. Because this creates pressure, this creates disappointment, this creates disintegration in the personality. Lots of things could happen because of the losing part. And if you are in a competitive edge, you are always thinking, how could I win? If I lose, the whole thing will be destroyed. And that's how the psychology would start to come in. And let me be frank with you. If we will not start today, we're already behind years. And there is no other way of existing in that field without taking this into consideration, the mental training.
Because mental
I mean,
training,
you could do everything else, but you have to take this into consideration.
because it has a very positive effect on the athletes and their performance in general.
You cannot win now. You cannot win anymore without this particular factor.
Right.
And if you look at the people who collect medals, and I mean, you will find people behind. Let me give you one example, another example. Speaking about colors, what's the relationship between colors and the sports field? Is there any relation? I'll tell you this by a small story. There was one team in the States, I forgot which state that was. They invite somebody to play games on his ground. The first match, the guests team will win. The second match,
The home team.
the other team will win the guests. And this happened all the way through.
Yeah.
Years and years and years, and they didn't know what was the secret behind that.
Yeah. But
Because
I'm sorry, we have to quickly wrap up because the French transmission is about to go in. Yeah, so if you want to give the brief
I'm
note, yes.
going
One sentence,
to wrap up in.
Yeah.
I mean, the secret behind that they get the guests and they put them in a room, blue room,
No.
and they sit in a red room. So when they go out, the blue room will make them relax,
Tranquilizer.
so they can win
So
them.
that's the relationship between
That's
colors
all
and
psychology. That's all
Yeah.
psychology.
Dr.
You judge for yourself.
Dr. Fouad Attia,
time is very short.
international expert and consultant in human and sports performance technology and behavioral communication. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and sorry we are running out of time, but it's a very important topic.
It's a very interesting piece of information as well. Now we know how important athletes are in our lives, and what we can learn out of them as well. Our French transmission is coming up next. And this brings us to the end of our Breakfast Show episode 4 this morning. I'm Yasmin Bakir and Reem Noor. We were both joining you this morning, and have a lovely day.